What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with Henry Wilson. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Playbook Preview Show. Today we got 7 games on this DraftKings main slate. We kicked off the day with a little day baseball action, which is always great on a Wednesday here. Henry, how we doing, my friend?
Doing great. Yeah, I'm excited. Love this evening slate, especially. I feel like normally recently when we get this like split slate, all of the pitchers I really like are in the morning. Whereas like this time I'm like, okay, there's actually a lot of the pitchers that I really love are actually on the evening slate. So that's great.
Exactly. This slate does also bring some potential weather in play. We got a couple of games that may have to play through some wetness. The most notable game that could have the biggest impact, Yankees Minnesota, which kind of unfortunate because I do like a lot of the Minnesota bats here today, but maybe that weather situation will clear up in time for first pitch. Again, they're a 7:40 start. Hopefully there won't be too much of an impact on that game, but that is one to at least watch out for here today. We appreciate you all tuning in, of course, to the live stream each and every day here. If you haven't done so already, make sure you go and hit that like button. It's a free way to support what we do here on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel. I'm popping right now the playbook into the chat. Henry did the playbook today, and he has the Minnesota Twins featured on his cover, so I know him and I are in sync with where we're looking to go on today's slate. Let's just jump into it right now. If you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. We'll pop them up. We'll help you guys out with your lineup build. Pitching wise, we got Pablo Lopez at home. He's $9,800 against the Yankees. Tanner Houck at $9,100 at home against the Tampa Bay Rays. Framber Valdez draws the A's. Stroman on the other side of that matchup going up against the Minnesota Twins. Couple more AK pitchers, Morton, Webb, Lynn, and Bradley. So a healthy amount of spend-up options here at the pitcher position.
Yeah, there are a lot of great pitchers and a lot of ones that I really like, but I think Pablo Lopez is definitely rightfully the top priced guy. I mean, he has been so great. I know that there's the weather concerns, but it looks like it's probably going to be fine. So like, as long as they do play, like Pablo Lopez has been amazing. I mean, he has at least 7 strikeouts in 6 of his 8 starts this season. And his last 3 have been 8, 8, and 10.
Right.
And like, sure, it's been good matchups. It's been against the Red Sox, the Angels, the Mariners, and the Yankees don't strike out as much as those teams. But I don't think it matters, man. Pablo Lopez is just so good that I trust his talent to be able to shut down pretty much anybody.
Sure, it definitely has that upside for sure. A little worrisome, with the just knowing you got to go against Soto and Judge and that crew. Sure. But he is getting a lot of ownership love, almost 29% here today. He is your second highest rostered starting pitcher. Your highest, I don't know if people aren't watching baseball, but Framber Valdez is your highest rostered pitcher. The Oakland A's are a lineup that are smashing, being very productive right now. But Framber is there at $8,800. Last start out against Detroit, 7 innings, 2 earned. Never been a big strikeout guy, so I'm not really too surprised to see the recent strikeout numbers. But where are you with Framber Valdez today?
Yeah, I'm in on Framber Valdez. I know the strikeouts have been lower even this season, but like he's a career 23% strikeout guy. Like I think there'll be some more strikeouts coming. And the thing with Oakland is all of their damage is coming off home runs. Like that's what they're doing to like keep producing offense. Yeah. And Framber Valdez does not give up home runs. He's such an elite ground ball pitcher that I think this matchup works so well in his favor that even though like he hasn't been at the top of his game and Oakland offense has been surprisingly great, just the way that they match up with that offense and how Framber Valdez pitches, I think he's going to be really good in this spot.
Yeah, just to kind of give you some context regarding what you're mentioning with the power, over the last 2 weeks, which I think is probably a fair range for when Oakland's offense has really started to pick up some steam, 212 ISO against lefties, 349 WOBA, 480 slug during that stretch. A team that, again, for whatever reason, just really starting to hit the home run ball. But yeah, like you mentioned, if you get to hit 18 ground ball outs against Detroit, that's an elite number of outs there. So yeah, if you can obviously keep the ball on the ground, it's hard for them to get home runs. They're in Houston, which is obviously a little bit better of a hitter's ballpark compared to Oakland is used to playing in. But over 30% of the field today going to Framber Valdez, $1,000 price bump from his last start as well. So a big little boost to him there. Any other top starters that you're looking at in terms of 8K range and above?
Yeah, I guess I have one that I really like that is the bottom of that 8K tier, and that's Taj Bradley. I think like being the cheaper of these top options, I just think that he's so talented. He was awesome in his first start. He made it 6 full innings, 7 strikeouts against the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
And now he goes up against the Red Sox, who like obviously are still a decent offense, but they strike out a ton. And with Taj Bradley's strikeout upside and the fact that he managed 6 full innings in his first outing, like I just think it seems like the floor is almost what he did against the Yankees of that 6 innings and 7 strikeouts. And I think there's some upside to go with it. That at 8K, he's just so talented.
Yeah, recent numbers again. If you want to just kind of look at, there was a stretch there where Boston was kind of hitting everybody, but last 2 weeks not really been the case against right-handed pitching. There, Red Sox the second lowest WOBA in baseball at 267, just a 130 ISO, a 201 batting average is third lowest there against right-handed pitching, and a 25% strikeout rate. So in on that as well, Taj Bradley, one of the more highly regarded pitching prospects in baseball last year, struggled with his command. It really kind of hurt his initial taste there of the major leagues, but back up, healthy, and looked really. I was a bit worried about that New York Yankees side. I'm like, wow, they're bringing him off the IL to face the Yankees right away. Yeah. Like that's and he performed fantastic. So I'm with you. I really liked Taj Bradley. We're Red Sox fans here, but we also are very aware of our team. So we know what they are and are not capable of. With it being just 7 games, though, like this is where I think it comes a bit interesting, where the majority of these pitchers are in that 8K and above range. Not a ton of value on this slate here. Do you like Assad or Gray in the 7K range, or do any of the 6K pitchers have any sort of appeal to you today?
Like I don't dislike Assad or John Gray. Like I think those are both decent pitchers. I don't like that Assad's going against Atlanta and like even Gray against Cleveland. They aren't great matchups, but like it's not that I dislike them. I think it's just the fact that when I can pay a little bit more for Taj Bradley, I'm going to do that. And if I'm going to save money, I'm going to just take the chance. I'm going to go all the way down to Griffin Canning, which might sound crazy. And I understand that this comes with like a ton of risk. Like Canning has not been great so far this season, but I do think he is a better pitcher than we have seen so far. And the Cardinals lineup has been tough. And I do think that we could see some better stuff out of Canning and some more strikeouts and him go out there and put up a decent outing. I also am not a big believer in Lynn. So like maybe if the Angels lineups can do something, there's actually some win potential with the Angels, which is rare. And so, yeah, I think I just don't like that mid tier because if I really have to save money, accepting that it comes with plenty of risk, I do like Griffin Canning here.
Yeah, I think there could be some appeal to that. Again, we've seen him certainly pitch much better. The Cardinals on the year, your 25% strikeout rate against right-handed pitching. Canning certainly has had that. The one thing with Lance Lynn, we always talk about is he gives up a lot of home runs. This year, he hasn't been giving up a lot of home runs, but he's still giving up a lot of runs. So, eventually, you got to think those home runs will start coming around and biting him here as well. So, yeah, that's fine. If you want to spend down, you can. John Gray was getting some initial love here today. Obviously some strong starts out of him lately, but that Cleveland offense, it feels like, at any time they just kind of tag you. We saw Naylor with the home run last night. We know Ramirez can get it done in that lineup. Any interest in Gray here? Because obviously Texas going up against Carrasco also has some win equity built into that one.
Yeah, totally. I think because I do like Texas against Carrasco. They're one of like my favorite lineups to stack today. And I know he's been getting the strikeouts, but I just don't think I trust him against Cleveland to be able to miss the bats good enough. Like, again, he's been getting the strikeouts, but he's not traditionally a huge strikeout guy. And Cleveland doesn't strike out a ton that I just don't know if I see him being able to perform enough to be worth that 7,500 again, when I can pay the extra 500 and take Taj Bradley. So like, I get it. I think there is upside if you want to go there. Me personally, I don't feel great about it.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, Boss Breton here saying no Acuna tonight in the lineup, so Assad not having to deal with at least the top bat there for the Braves. Moving on over to the catcher position. Again, this is a spot where we generally try to find maybe some value here. Ryan Jeffers, though, just want to call him out, the run that he's been on, man. Another home run, now 3 in the last 5. He's got 10 on the season. He's got 30 RBI We're in on the Twins today. Probably more of their lefty bats. I'll throw some lefty split numbers. And I'm sure you saw them as well against Marcus Stroman. But almost 1,000 OPS here over a month into the season for Ryan Jeffers.
Yeah, no, I'm big in on Minnesota against Stroman today. And yeah, Ryan Jeffers, it's not just this recent run. Like, yeah, the 3 homers in 4 games is crazy, but he's been awesome all year and just consistent, providing power at the catcher position. Like, if you're going to pay up, you should probably be thinking about Ryan Jeffers.
I would agree with you. If we're looking for some value today, any value catchers for you?
You know, I was having a tough time today of finding anything that I really like. I'm probably leaning towards Bo Naylor. Okay. Obviously he hasn't been performing great. We talked about Gray having some upside, but I just think like in this tier, there's not a lot of people I trust. I know that he can bring some power. So I don't mind that. Ivan Herrera has also been hitting pretty well. I just talked about how I'm in on Canning, but like I said, it comes with a lot of risk. If you're not pitching Canning, I think he does provide some value as a cheap option because he is just hitting the ball pretty well recently.
Yeah, this is where I was going as well. I didn't have much in the way of Canning in some early builds. I think that you brought up some good points, and be able to, if you're really looking to stack some top bats today, getting Canning in there will help that. But Herrera was the bat I was looking at for value pitching there. Moving on over to first base. You obviously have the Dodgers bats against Webb. I don't know if that's a matchup where necessarily looking to avoid or target. Either way here, it's Webb's a good pitcher, but Ohtani homers off whoever he wants. So there's that aspect to it all. Where are you looking to go at first base today?
Yeah, agreed on kind of the avoiding the Dodgers. I'm not pitching Webb against the Dodgers, but I also think he's another guy who doesn't really give up a lot of home runs. We know he's a great ground pound pitcher, can be awesome, that I don't really want to target the Dodgers bats today. Obviously, Josh Naylor's been awesome, but I'm kind of leaning to Matt Olson today. I know he's been slumping a lot through the beginning of the season, but he's kind of picked it up recently. We know he can provide just such a great power bat. That now that he's kind of picking up a little, I kind of like the discount because this is a guy that's normally like a 6K hitter, but he's been performing so poorly. We get him at 5,200, but now we see, 2 hits in each of the last 2 games. He's got a couple homers in the last few games. Like he's starting to get that power bat back. And if he's actually figuring things out at the plate, I'm willing to jump in while the discount is still here and get Matt Olson.
Yeah. I mean, he's not going to be this bad all season.
No.
I have some best ball teams that desperately need him to start coming around. So, I certainly don't mind that call at all. I like Nathaniel Lowe. Again, we talked about it. Texas here against Carrasco. They're just going to keep feeding us Nathaniel Lowe in this mid 4K range. I'm going to keep plugging him, especially in these matchups here against a guy in Carrasco, which, better days are behind him at this point. And, Nathaniel Lowe, you want to see more power. I know a couple of years ago, maybe it was just a peak power out of him. I think he had 27 or 28 home runs, just kind of thinking off the top of my head here. Maybe he's never going to reach that type of ceiling again, but he should have a little bit more punch to him there. So I like Nathaniel Lowe at $4,300.
Yeah, fully agreed. I don't expect a whole lot of power to appear. I think he is like that 20 home run type of bat, but he doesn't need the power to produce when, he's always going to be a high average guy and batting third in the Rangers lineup. Even without the power, he provides so much value.
Yeah, I agree. At 27 home runs. So I had 27 homers in 2022. That's probably the most we'll see out of him.
Yeah.
190 ISO that year. Last year, 160 games, 17 home runs. He's probably a 20 home run hitter, like you said. So, in on that one. Kind of skipping back a little bit because we did a question there. Are we in on Tanner Houck? I mean, I wasn't really playing Tanner Houck today. I like some of the other matchups there. He's been good, and I'm not going to hold his prior career numbers against him because this is a whole new pitching coach, a whole new pitching philosophy. This is a version of Tanner Houck we've never seen before. So I'm not going to go look what he did as a swingman or a bullpen guy against them. But I wasn't really in on Tanner Houck today at the price because, there are other options I was looking to go pick today personally.
Yeah, I think Houck could be great. I think the matchup is decent against the Rays too. My stance is less of a anti Tanner Houck and more of a pro the other guys. I do like Tanner Houck. It's just the fact that I like the Pablo Lopez, the Framber Valdez, the Taj Bradleys better.
Yeah.
So that's my stance. Don't dislike him. I just really like some of those other guys.
We got Carlos Santana here. He's hitting 7th. He'll be hitting from the left side of the plate against Stroman here. And I mentioned earlier some of the split numbers here. Never mind the fact that Stroman's overall numbers aren't that great this season. If you're just sort of looking at some of his matchup numbers against left-handed bats this year. They're not that good. He's got a 437 WOBA allowed, 613 slug, 290 batting average. He's giving up 2.8 homers per 9 against left-handed hitters on the year. So just some pretty ugly numbers. And then overall, he's got a 3.8 ERA, but his expected ERA is 4.72. His FIP is 5.08. So a lot of regression numbers for Marcus Stroman here. And now you're going to get a heavy Twins lineup. Had the comment the Twins are going lefties with the first 3 bats today. Santana is obviously hitting 7th, but recent performances here, 303 at a 970 OPS over the last 10, can certainly get some value in this option here.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. Yeah, Stroman has a 1.5 whip and like almost a 1.5 home run per 9. Like the 3.8 ERA is not going to hold. He is always kind of a guy who can have an ERA that is better than his underlying numbers say, because he is kind of a decent ground ball pitcher, situational pitcher, but still not like this. Like there's still some regression is coming. He has not been pitching great compared to what the results have been. And so, yeah, definitely in on the Twins, definitely in on Carlos Santana here to be a part of that.
Yep. Any other value plays for you today at first base?
Yeah, I don't hate Nolan Schanuel.
Okay.
I just don't trust Lance Lynn. Like, I know that he's been pitching decent and he can go in there and shut down an offense. And like, look, the Angels offense is not very scary without Trout, especially. But Nolan Schanuel's batting leadoff. He has great plate skills. I just think at this price in this matchup, some of those Angels bats are kind of intriguing because they are cheap and some of them have still been producing decently through this stretch. So I don't hate Nolan Schanuel just with how cheap he is here.
Yep, I agree with you. Again, a guy that just flew through the minors, drafted last year, right? And like his debut. So definitely has some talent once he sort of readjusts himself to the major league level there. You'll have the cheap St. Louis guys as well. Again, if you're not in on Canning, Burleson, Carpenter down here. Any Singleton interest? Has some potential power upside against Brooks.
Yeah, totally. I've been kind of in on Singleton when he's been in the lineup recently, just because the Astros have had some good matchups, and this is no exception. I think there's another good matchup against Aaron Brooks in Oakland today. Yeah. So as long as he is in that lineup, their Astros are one of my like higher up lineups that I'm targeting. So absolutely willing to take the discount on Singleton as part of that as well.
Over at second base, to get Altuve up at $5,700. Semien, Albies, Jimenez, your top 4 guys over 5K. Anybody there that you're looking to plug in your lineups today?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can go Altuve, you can go Semien. Again, I think both the Astros and Rangers are my 2 favorite lineups. Like, take those big bats at second base. But obviously you got to pay up for them. And so I think there are some other good options if you don't want to do that. Like we talked about the lefty bats against Stroman, Edouard Julien batting leadoff against Stroman here.
Yeah.
I think he's just more intriguing. I think that's the reason I'm not going Semien or Altuve. Is just because I'm probably going to go down into this area and take someone like Julien.
For sure. $4,400 for Julien there. Working our way down the list a little bit here. Any value plays that you're taking a look at? Toro, if you think that Oakland stays hot, Toro's a guy that has hit lefty as well. He's $3,700. You got Nolan Gorman down there. Anybody for value today?
No, not really. I mean, I could go, I think Tyra Estrada, I think is not terrible. That 4K against Yarbrough maybe provide some value, but like, I don't love the Giants lineup either. And I don't think he has huge upside, but yeah, a lot of these other guys, I don't really want Torres against Lopez. I don't love Toro against Valdez. Like, I think it's some rough matchups for these cheap bets that sometimes we go to. Yeah, I think second base is somewhere that I'm going to have to accept that I don't want to punt today.
Yeah, and like you said, it's a smaller slate, so, smaller player pool. And, Julien being 4,400, actually isn't a terrible price because we've seen him priced higher at points this season. Over at third base today, then, any core targets for you here?
Yeah, I have one core target, and he's not one of the higher priced guys because it's Alex Bregman, man. Alex Bregman's season has begun. He is like broke out of his slump. He has 3 homers in the last 2 games. Like this is again another guy, and I mean 3 homers. That's 5 hits, all extra base hits in the last 2 games. We knew the slump wasn't going to continue forever. Maybe he's not magically out of it, but like it sure looks like he is.
Yeah, I mean, again, look at the pricing earlier in the season, right? He's around 5K. Now you're getting him around 4K. Take the discount before he gets priced back up. Because if he homers again tonight, he might be $4,800 tomorrow. You know,
exactly. So I'm taking that discount while I can get him. And I have a heart. Obviously, like, yeah, you could go Jose Ramirez. Like, there's some other options you could go. But yeah, that 4,200 in an Astros lineup I like, this cheap from Alex Bregman, he's a pretty much automatic plug for me today.
Yeah, I like him. If you wanted to pivot off of that, you have Willie Castro hitting 6 today, 4,200.
Yep.
Chapman gets a lefty matchup against Yarbrough. Josh Smith against Carrasco's 4K. So some good mid-tier options there at the third base position. Then we mentioned, if Carpenter's in the lineup tonight, you can go ahead and plug him in at 3K as well. Any other options for you today at third base?
No, I mean, yeah, obviously, yeah, Matt Carpenter. I think like Ezekiel Duran has been hitting pretty well recently too. If he's in the lineup, you could go there. We've been plugging Brett Harris some. I really am in on Framber Valdez, so I don't love that. But if you just like really need a cheap play for some upside, you could go back to Brett Harris.
Sure.
But I'd rather pay up for Bregman. But there definitely are some options here.
Yep. Shortstop position. You're looking up again. Mookie Betts against Webb, 63. Seager against Carrasco, finally starting to come around for him, $5,400. Pena at $4,400, still hitting cleanup for Houston. Probably didn't expect to see that here this season. What's your targets at the top half of shortstop today?
Yeah, I mean, the big standouts for me are the lineups we've been talking about a whole lot, which have been the Astros, the Rangers, and the Twins, like Corey Seager, Jeremy Pena, and I like Carlos Correa as well. Those are the 3 guys that I'm really like plugging in here as my plays I like. Again, I think Corey Seager is obviously $5,400. That's not cheap, but he's another guy that I think you still are getting a discount here because he's been slumping.
Yeah.
Like this is normally a 6K guy. He has that kind of upside. He hit a homer yesterday, is coming around. I like him a lot. But yeah, also Jeremy Pena is going to be right in that heart of the lineup. And if you need the discount, go to Carlos Correa, who's only 4,100 and has been hitting the ball well recently. And obviously we're targeting the lefty bats more so in the Twins lineup. But if you need a cheaper option or doing a big stack and want to take him batting 5th, I think he is a great option as well.
Sure. Any value options for you here today?
I think it's a kind of our usuals of I can always go Orlando Arcia, who's 3,500 to get a part of the Braves lineup. I would like him better against lefties, but it's never a bad option. And I also don't mind going back to Zach Nato again against Lance Lynn, who I don't really trust. 3,300. Look, the upside's not super high for Nato, but 3,300, if you can go out and get yourself a double and maybe a run scored or something against Lance Lynn, it can be worth it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Again, not many value plays down here, that we usually are used to seeing because it is a smaller slate. Moving on over to the outfield then. Again, some of the obvious top options here. Not to be repetitive, you mentioned liking Houston a lot, so Kyle Tucker is right up there. Yordan Alvarez right up there as well against Brooks. Probably options for you. Ozuna, Noah Cunha, as we mentioned. They have Michael Harris leading off for them today. He's been terrible, but there is some value pricing potentially for them there. Anybody else in the top tier that you're looking at outfield today?
Yeah, I think the only other guy I'd highlight here outside of, those obvious ones in the lineups we've already talked about and don't need to beat to death would be Cody Bellinger at 5K against Charlie Morton. Again, Morton's a decent pitcher, but can really struggle with command and giving up home runs. And I think Bellinger's just such a good hitter that I know he hasn't been like crazy recently, but he's just still an awesome hitter. And at 5K, I think is a decent price if you want to get some of that Cubs lineup today.
Yeah, you got him and Seiya priced near each other. They're batting 2nd and 3rd today for the Cubs there in that matchup. In the mid-tiers where you get some of those Twins, as we mentioned, Kepler and Larnach in 2nd and 4th. Kepler hitting 400 over the last 10 games. That's kind of hard to really hate on that there. Larnach there slowed down a little bit. Good average still. Power kind of slumping off, but still 328, 871 over the last 10. I mentioned Harris leading off today. He's $4,200. Anybody else for you in this tier?
Yeah, those are a lot of my top guys. I think I want to emphasize Kepler even a little extra there. Like, if you're taking these lefty bats, even if you aren't in on like Larnack or Kirilloff, who have been kind of struggling, like you should be playing Max Kepler.
Cover of today's show today, so we made it known that Kepler should be the guy.
He just ended his 14-game hitting streak, but that's just because he wasn't playing and he happened to get one pinch hit that he went 0 for 1. That's the only reason he's not still on a 14-game hitting streak.
If you have a hit streak going, do you decline the call to do the pinch hit? What do you say? Your coach, you know what? Now give me the full 4 next time. I don't want to risk this there.
Nah, he's going in there. But over that hitting streak, the only guys with higher OPSs than him are Aaron Judge, Brent Rooker, and Bryson Stott. Like,
crazy.
He's 4th. So,
I'm assuming today's not a Rooker day for you then, since you're in on Framber.
Not likely. He's been so hot recently that if you're not playing Framber, again, I'm not stacking Oakland in this matchup.
Right.
But if you like really want the one-off, like he still obviously has the upside. Maybe he can go yard against Valdez. Like it's not crazy, but no, I'm not doing it.
Sure. Working our way down the list here a little bit. You have Nootbaar, Canning, Joe Adell gets Lance Lynn at $3,700. Some power speed potential for him in that matchup. Kevin Pillar has been like hitting cleanup for them and actually being productive at $3,600. Any value outfielders for you on the slate?
Yeah, I don't know if I want to go Kevin Pillar, even though I kind of like some Angels bats. Like, there's no way.
I mean, look at him. Look at the last 3 games.
I know it's absurd. Maybe ride the hot hand, and especially if you are stacking them, I guess go for it. But like, if I had to choose one of the Angels, like I'm rather go to Joe Adell or even like Willie Calhoun, who I think has more actual like upside day to day. Even though, Kevin Pillar's been absurd the last couple days.
Yeah, it makes me. I can't believe every time I see this, I'm like, what do you mean he's got 8 hits over the last 3 games? Like 7 RBIs doesn't make any sense. Pekar Armstrong's hitting at the bottom of the Cubs lineup today. He's $3,300. You mentioned Willie Calhoun. He's $3,200. We know he's got some power and speed potential for him here. Got some value. Rangers bats in this range. Anybody else for you?
I also don't mind. I like Alec Burleson, even though I talked about Canning as an upside, but clearly, Burleson's been hitting well in a cheap bat if you're not going Canning. I also don't mind Jared Kelenic. He should be a starting day for the Braves.
He is, I said hit 9th, I think, for them today. So
obviously he's been just very disappointing overall, but we've seen those hot stretches where he can be great. So he does give you that power upside that I'm okay with chasing within the Braves.
Cole Tucker got the Sonny Gray twice yesterday. It was kind of annoying. He had a double and a triple off of him. If you think he can keep it going against Lance Lynn, he's $2,600. Going to hit the top of their lineup. Loper Fido could be in the lineup here today, 26. Let's see. Do we have an Astros?
He's batting 7th, which yes, I am on Loper Fido. I mean, batting 7th for only 2,600. If you're doing an Astros stack, that's pretty sweet to help you be able to afford your Kyle Tucker or your Yordan Alvarez or anything. So
we got Dubon at first today. They got Cabbage, $2,300 outfielder. He's hitting 9th today. So if you're just looking at straight up, just punt. Outfield, I guess you could
do it.
Anybody else for you before we get a lineup build?
I think that pretty much rounds it out for me.
Alrighty, so your number 1 guy, Lopez, here today.
Yeah, Lopez is my number 1 guy.
What's your SP2?
It's got to be Taj Bradley. I think. I just think he's a great option at $8K.
Do we plug Herrera then here at catcher?
I'm okay with that. Again, I said I liked Herrera, only wasn't going there if I was going Canning, which I only want to do if I'm super trying to save money.
Sure. First base position, what's your play?
Obviously, I talked about Matt Olson. If we want to, pay up, I do really like the Braves. So if this is a position we want to spend money, that's my choice.
Okay, let's see what we can do here because we want some twins. Let's get Kepler in the lineup now because we know we want to.
Oh yeah, he's a pretty.
Him, and then what? Julian at second. I think we were talking.
Yeah.
All right, so that's 4K. What was our value of Adele? I think you said we were kind of looking at there.
Yeah, I like Joe Adell. I like the Angels. I also think you could, if you want to go low Perfido too, and still don't hate that. But
what was low Perfido's price? 26. All right, let's do that. Let's get a little more value in the lineup. So 43.50. We did Olson, gives us 4K a play.
Yeah, I'd be fine putting in Santana too. Like if we need money to go elsewhere, that's still a good option too.
We'll ride the Bregman hot streak.
Yeah,
that gives us 4K for a shortstop and an outfield here.
Ooh, well, I don't mind going Correa, like I said, if you want to, add some more Twins in there.
Okay, and that gives us a $3,900 play. Can just go back to Adele.
Yeah, go with that. You could go Lars Nootbaar since we're not going Canning too. He obviously provides good power, but I like Joe Adele's been on fire.
All right, so example lineup for everybody here. We got Lopez and Bradley with Herrera. We got the one-off play of Olsen, stacking Twins here. Julian, Correa, Kepler. We have Bregman, Adele, and Loperfido rounding out today's lineup. Henry's got his playbook live on site, so make sure you check that out. Make sure you tune in here and like everywhere we go on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel. Subscribe so you never miss a live show. We go live here every day at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Tomorrow you'll get Bender. Next couple of days you'll get Howard Bender on the show. I'm going away for the weekend. So good luck with all your DFS lineups, and we will catch you guys later.